opportunity for Rodriguez, thrown toward the net. Off the stick of Jeff Carter. Up high in the slot, and he rebound, and the puck is just going to squeak through Justin Schultz, through Ely. At the line, Dibble. Lined up, get a man out in front. It was blocked by Nick Dowd. Luger tried to play it out in front, instead it went to the plate, now to Boyle, and he scores! From the top angle again. Hard to figure how that got between Samsonov and the post. As he gets in on the forecheck to create the opportunity down below the goal line, he's going to take the hit from Dowd, and then he shoots quick hands. This one gets it in a blind spot coming from the blue line. He feels it. That's an awful goal for Samsonov to give up. Letang still out there. Pressured up high by Van. The ball gets shot wide. A follow-up by Doolin. And a nice pass save there by Samsonov. Malkin gets some traffic out in front. The 5-on-3 continues. Letang's back in the game, however. Another big clock win. One-timer, a goal! Ovechkin from that familiar spot in the left circle. Blasted one by Jari. A power play goal. Right in line with the ball here. I can see those gaps that Jari doesn't have. And this thing sounds like a bowling ball coming off his stick. It's so loud the way that he hammers it. The pass from Carlson's on his feet, and it's in the net.
Last thing I feel like anytime they get up to the line, they're getting opportunities, they just get over to the line. That's the doing good job, positive with them.
Center pass for Rossi, backhanded her right on. And on cue, it made a Samsonov with another good stop. Teravaris, impressive rookie, just 22 years old. Originally from Slovakia, Teravaris moved to Sweden at age 14 for hockey. There's a great opportunity by McMichael. Marcus Ray Jari's on his stomach and didn't appear to see it. Finally, it's thrown. Jari makes the first stop. Now he's going to find the second. It's wrong. Connor McMichael spins on the rebound. Jari with the save. Mathis is trying to get it back to him. It does. And now it's played out. A race to the puck. Wilson on to the 2-on-1. Wilson scores! And the Caps have taken a 4-3 lead. And way behind the play here, Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Jason Zuckerman are fight. Well behind the play. What a shot from Tom Wilson. Ovechkin at the line, managed to keep it in. It comes right free to Oshie, and that's denied on the angle by Jari. Scoring bounce for Washington, and they almost pondered another. Empty net, great play by Malkin, right the line to keep it in. Weaving into traffic, trying to get too much. Kuznetsov has the empty net, and he scores! Just after Pittsburgh nearly tied and hit a post. And after about a minute or so with the power play, Sullivan decides to get Tristan Jari out of the net. That's the right time, in my opinion. Here's Malkin. Now Carter. Penalty has expired. His next off the goal. Here's a chance now for Teravaris. He scores. Another empty netter. And Washington is about to win its 5th straight road game. And they started to take the game over. Tom Wilson's going to clear this up the ice for the empty netter to Martin Teravaris, who's now got goals in back-to-back games. 7 on the season for the 22-year-old. And the Capitals, whether or not he would have been lifted in the first period after, they didn't have a game tomorrow. And he didn't give up anything. Just think how close the game can be, though. Malkin hits the crossbar at 4-3. 2 empty net goals make it look stretched out at 6-3. But the Caps deserve a win here in Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia Flyers, you might have a kick out of our topic for today's video. So, right now, actually, no, not right now, it's actually going to go on at 8 p.m. Eastern time, something like that. Yeah, so 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have ourselves the NCAA National Championship game going on between the Denver Pioneers as well as the Minnesota State Mavericks. You have yourselves this final game. These two teams have been battling it out in single elimination games the past few days over here, and it's given us all some very good, very skilled, and very exciting NHL prospect action. We talked yesterday about Owen Power and Ken Johnson, two guys on the Michigan team that were eliminated in yesterday's contest to this Denver squad, and how they had signed on with their respective NHL clubs. Obviously, Power going to Buffalo and Ken Johnson going over to Columbus. But I also said in that video that I wanted to talk as well about the team that eliminated them. The Michigan Wolverines, a stacked team in many people's eyes with names like Luke Hughes, Ken Johnson, Matty Beniers, Brendan Brisson, Thomas Ford, a little Owen Power, of course. You had such a stacked Michigan team going out there against the Denver Pioneers on, when the heck was that, Thursday? And they lost 3-2 in overtime in what many people call an upset win, because Denver wasn't really projected by a lot of people to defeat this Michigan team. Even on the ESPN broadcast, they were going out there talking about Michigan and how they were #1 seed and how they won all their games by a dominating performance of several goals apiece, and then they were not able to get it done against Denver. They only scored 2, and Denver, of course, scored the third one in OT. The overtime goal was pretty significant, though, as it was scored by Edmonton Oilers prospect Carter Savoy. You might know this guy because we've talked about him several times on the channel already. His younger brother Matthew Savoy is projected to be a top 5 pick at the 2022 NHL entry draft, but Carter Savoy did not have that same draft potential. He was taken 100th overall by the Edmonton Oilers in the 2020 NHL draft, 5'9", 192 as a left-wing, left-handed player. And when it comes to Savoy, we've documented this before on the channel, but he is just an absolute monster when it comes to scoring goals. It was hands down his bread and butter back in the AJHL when he was playing in the junior A scene in Alberta. He had 53 goals in 54 games played in his draft-eligible season, and last year he was for the San Diego Pioneers team, getting 13 goals in 24 games. This season, though, Carter Savoy has gone out there and led the Pioneers in goals with 23 in 38 games played, and adding on to that 22 assists for a total of 45 points. He is one of the top point producers in the entire NCAA, and you really couldn't have hoped for anything better if you're an Oilers fan looking at the prospects and saying, okay, this guy was a 4th-round pick. 4th-round picks don't usually become anything at the NHL level, so even seeing some sort of value and projectability right there, that itself is a good sign, and that's exactly what Carter Savoy has done these past few seasons in the NCAA, giving Oilers fans a whole bunch to cheer about. You talk about goal scoring, you talk about the Oilers needing more depth goal scoring throughout their lineup. Well, Carter Savoy, should he pan out and actually become an NHL talent, could probably be that second power play, middle six scoring threat who just has an absolute laser of a wrist shot that he's really not afraid to use. Here's the scouting report on elite prospects. Savoy leads defenders like few other players in the draft. He's acutely aware of opposing sticks and actively baits them. He's deceptive, looks off his targeted play, and keeps the same grip on his stick, whether he's passing, dangling, or shooting. That's actually a really important point that I don't think we expanded on in the previous times talking about Savoy. When you hold your hands on the stick the same way, no matter what it is you're doing, passing, dangling, or shooting, or skating with it, or whatever, it confuses goaltenders, it confuses opposing defensemen, because if you don't have that body language to show off, okay, I'm going to open up my forehand, which means I'm probably going to pass it to the guy on my right because I'm a left-handed shot, it makes things easier for the opposition to say, okay, he's doing that, let's cut off the passing lane. Where most players, and you can even try this yourself if you have your own hockey sticks, when you're preparing to shoot, sometimes you'll slide your inner hand down the shaft of the stick in order to get some more grip. Savoy doesn't do that. He just keeps his hands in the same position the entire way through, no matter what it is he's doing, and he's still got some really good shooting mechanics behind it, and it's the lack of nuance that really helps him out when it comes to creating offense and being unpredictable. The goal he scored in the overtime period against Michigan to tie it was an assist made by Bobby Brink, where Savoy had it in front, he shot it, there was a save made, and then he got the rebound. Easy, open net, Denver is off to the finals, it's 3-2, there you go. And so we'll see what happens with Carter Savoy, whether or not he's able to go out there in the final game today in about, what is that, like 3 hours or whatever it is, 2 hours I think, and maybe add on to those goal totals. But when it comes to the guy that set him up for that final goal, we also have ourselves a conversation to go over when it comes to Bobby Brink. Now, Philadelphia fans, this is your guy right here, taking the second round of the 2019 NHL entry draft, 34th overall. Bobby Brink is a 5'9", 163-pound right-handed right-wing player. So, yeah, they're both fairly small hockey players, of course, but still. Bobby Brink had a season for the Yankees this year in the NCAA as a 20-year-old. He scored himself playing for the Denver Pioneers, 57 points in 40 games played. He was the top point producer in all of the NCAA this season, and it wasn't even close. He had a 7-point lead. Over second place Nathan Smith of Minnesota State University Mankato, and you see the lead that he had in everybody else. He also had University at 44 points in 32 games played. So Bobby Brink was the best on-ice skater in the league, and I say that because he didn't actually win the Hobey Baker Award that was sent over to Trey McKay, who was a goaltender, so he wasn't the MVP of the league, he just happened to be the best skater, and he had a whole bunch of other awards because of it. He was on the All-American First Team, and he was a finalist, of course, for the Hobey Baker Award. But regardless, Bobby Brink has really come into his own over the past calendar year pretty much, amplifying his playmaking ability and upping his overall production. Playing for the Sioux City Musketeers in his draft season when he was taken in the draft, he had 68 points in 43 games with a good mix of goals and assists, and I remember being super high on Bobby Brink in particular, even though there was a lot of concern with his foot speed and his agility. His skating wasn't the best, and it's kind of why he even went so far down in the second round. A lot of people believe that if Bobby Brink was just a tad better at skating, he could have been a top 20 lock. And others were still kind of inclined to think about him in that range, despite the skating deficiencies that were existing in his game. However, after 2 seasons with the University of Denver Pioneers, getting 24 points in 28 games in his first season and 11 points in 15 games in his second being slowed down due to injuries, he has really come alive this year as one of the best players in the entire collegiate system as a junior and as a guy who was over an assist a game. 43 assists in 40 games played this season, and the sky has really been the limit offensively for Bobby Brink and the way that he has developed. Here's a scouting report back from 2019 to get a frame of reference as to where he has come from up until now. Not a great skater, but he still brings an intriguing offensive skill set. His hockey sense is impressive. He's a gifted playmaker and can find the back of the net too. He tries to compensate his skating at a great compete level. And yeah, that's pretty much the bread and butter for Bobby Brink over here. Even though he might not have the fastest foot speed in the world, he makes up for it with his offensive poise, his offensive prowess, and his ability to just know what to do. Even in the play that he made to set up Carter Savoy for the overtime winner, he was in the corner battling for the puck after a really good turnover at the Michigan blue line. So it's those plays that showcase his awareness and his willingness to do what needs to be done to keep the play moving forward, and when he does have the puck, what he does to get it to teammates that are on the other side or in tight angles or in tight spaces. He's able to thread passes through with ease, and it's given him a good amount of assists this season where you're just like, wow, what a great play there by Bobby Brink. Projection-wise, it's kind of tough to see where Brink lands in the NHL. Of course, you know, Philadelphia could use a lot more goal scoring as they go into their next few years, especially with the younger guys coming into the organization and building for the future. But assuming Bobby Brink does not improve his overall mobility on the ice, I could see him maxing out as a power play guy who does try in the defensive zone and who does have some tendencies to go into the boards and battle. It's just skating is such an important part of hockey nowadays, and so it's difficult to project where players like this could realistically go long term. I definitely could see Bobby Brink getting 15 goals and 25 assists in an NHL season one day. It's just the ceiling is kind of where I have a difficult time pinpointing it out because of that mobility. But either way, you can let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Carter Savoy as well as Bobby Brink if you're an Oilers or a Flyers fan. Are you going to be watching the final game today for the NCAA championships between the Pioneers and the Mavericks? Let me know your thoughts. How do you think these guys are going to do in this upcoming game? How well do you think these guys are going to do in their careers as they make the Oilers and the Flyers eventually? Do you think they're even going to make these teams in the short-term future? Talk to me in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this British Shows 99. And bye.
Earn 1.5 times the points on groceries. CIBC Aventura.
Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my updated 2022 NHL mock draft. My top 16 with full mock trade. Now, the standings now are pretty close to the standings that we'll get on draft lottery day, only a few weeks ago, of NHL season. So we pretty much know which team will miss the playoffs, but which team wins the draft lottery in this situation, and which prospects nowhere inside the top 16 for the 2022 NHL draft. Watch till the end of the 40 picks and all the top 16, and make sure that subscribe button is already 50% of people that are watching are not subscribed. So if you like that content and hockey content, this channel is the place to be. Now, as I said before, we're going to go to the top 15 of the 2022 draft, but first we need to see who will actually win the draft lottery this time around, and of course we can take this on. I did this simulation yesterday, so the connects will be higher than the actual listens that I was doing last time around, but when it comes to the draft simulation, the Chicago Blackhawks, of course, got the first overall pick. Second, though, the Ottawa Senators also reach up quite a few spots. Then was Montreal at number 3, the Oilers, the Kraken, the Devils, then the Flyers, and the Sabres, and the Red Wings, then the Anaheim Ducks, then the San Jose Sharks, then Columbus, then the Islanders, the Jets, and the Ducks, and then the Buffalo Sabres, who have the biggest goal line pick, because right now they can miss the playoffs, which is huge for the Buffalo. Let's start us off in the first overall spot in the 2022 NHL mock draft. Start out with the Chicago Blackhawks at number 1, and this is the debate in the first couple of months of the season, but now it's kind of become a little laughing stock. At number 1, Chicago will absolutely pick Shane Wright. Now, this is a very interesting one, in my opinion, because you've obviously had on the stage there for the past 15 years plus as a franchise captain center. And Shane Wright, I don't think will be that good, but he could be along those sort of lines. Fantastic two-way centerman, great shot. Although there is some taking issues, I think maybe it's one of them a little bit in year one. He's a player that will play in the NHL and will be a fantastic centerman and could fill some of the same issues that Jonathan Tate did. I mean, it would be a great fit for Chicago. Now going on to the second overall pick, and the other team that went inside the top 3 in the Ottawa Senators is also a big one. They've been wanting some more lottery luck as well, and they get here second overall. We know that they like to pick bigger players, and I think that will continue, and I think at number 2, they will select Juraj Slafkovsky. Now, Slafkovsky, as well as Shane Wright, has been amazing since the Wolves presented in Great League, as well as having an absolute tear in the Olympics. To me, that's a little bit of luck on his side, too, but I do think Slafkovsky is worthy of a top 5 pick. I would have picked a couple of players before him here. He's got to have great taste for a fantastic shot, really shifty, and uses his physical side occasionally. Could be a great power forward in the future, and could be a great top fixer for the Sens as well. Now going on to the third overall pick of the $5 Canadian alt. Kind of choked this one in the lottery this time around. They still get the third overall pick and still get a very good player. And in my opinion, especially if he's available, there's no chance to have. No chance. You can click this, whatever you want to do. There's no chance to have local Cooley available that they will not select him. I mean, local Cooley is an absolute slam dunk to the pick for the half. They'll likely go forward into the defense out to the near side. It's pretty amazing, and they don't really need too much back there. On the forward side of things, there is some holes, especially at the center position. I think they do use another top 10 forward. Obviously, up next at the top 6 centers there already, but Logan Cooley, in my opinion, brings a lot of different plays. For one, I think the biggest difference is Logan Cooley's best asset is his play driving, is his electricity, is his overall pushing of play, fantastic pace in his game, always keeps defenders on his toes, and that skill, that passing, that overall quickness in the offensive zone is going to be so useful to have. They don't only have somebody that fast, that quick, and that creative, and I think alongside Nick Suzuki or even a full top field, he's perfect, and if he needs to be a center, he absolutely can to have. Now going on the fourth overall spot, though, is Arizona Coyotes. One team that definitely wanted to win the lottery and doesn't come around. But I do think I just feel so good to this player here. And I think goes like Matthew Savoy. Now, I kind of haven't been watching Canel, but with Canel's cold streak as of recent, which I kind of expected to do that is, I think the Arizona Coyotes will go a different direction and go with Matthew Savoy. This might be another great pick for me. He's the top 3 player on this draft. And even though there is a chance he doesn't become much because of his somewhat pacing issue, somewhat defensive issue too. With Arizona, I think he should be able to unlock that skill like what Teller has. The consistency is great, the passing ability, the power play ability is one of the best of this draft. And he's looking to your offense the way that brings that, and then Arizona is and Seattle Kraken Red I've selected one of the best as their pick. I think they will like to go for the defenseman. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think they go for David Juracek. As a set defender out of the main check, he has been very consistent and overall mature there. He's a player that I still have some issues with in terms of top end ability. I'm not sure how much potential there is there, but I could see Juracek being a third, maybe even second defenseman on his team that needs a player like that. Even if being one though, very calm, very poised. But again, I don't feel like with that skating, with that overall quickness, there's enough there to be top home defenseman. So a very good top 4 defense. That's the other one like to have. Now going on to the New Jersey Devils at 6th overall. I think they'll all go for Keenan, and that won't be Simone the best. I think they'll either select Juracek or the best, depending on who Seattle selects. Going to that is an interesting one. I feel like we're Jersey Juracek is a better fit. I feel like he can use Thomas and some points on that defense, my goodness. But with the Mets, he also brings a different business. I love his skating. I love his potential. He's a guy that loves to be aggressive, loves to push play out of his own zone. There is some defense issues, especially against bigger and stronger opponents. He's already playing the main back and he's already experienced against them. And I feel like his progress will be very solid and very consistent over these next few years. And I could see him just as you're being a third or even second defenseman on a true solid. But now we go on to the 7th overall pick, and this was where the Philadelphia Flyers were going to pick, but I'm going to pull in my Gary Bettman. We have a trade to announce between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Buffalo Sabres. These 2 teams had experienced trading in the first round last year. It was disaster rather than a line of trade. But if you look for Philadelphia, they'll go back to Buffalo, and the trade will go as follows. To the Buffalo Sabres, they will acquire Philadelphia's 7th overall pick. Going back to the Flyers, though, 16th overall from the Sabres to pick that goal night game for them. A 2022 Panthers first, which would likely be bottom 3, bottom 5, and then a 2023 4th round pick. So the Flyers get some more quantity while the Sabres move up 5 spots in the draft to select their guy. Now going on to 7th overall in the Buffalo Sabres, they will end up selecting Connor Dickey out of the Winnipeg Ice to the WHL. Another big-time WHL, a big player out of the WHL, just like Dylan Cousins was 8 years back. I know when it comes to Connor Dickey, he might be one of the more overrated players of this draft, but still when it comes to his size, he's fantastic for his shot, has a lot of good skating for his overall big play, and I feel like for a minute, even though there's not a lot of play driving there, and he might rely on other players to get the job done, I feel like he's strong middle, like maybe second line player if all pans out right. If it does pan out right, he could be a pretty solid and consistent player for the future. Then going on to number 8 and the 8th overall pick, going into a little more interesting and newer prospects of this draft game, Pavel Mintyukov. The Sabres will also select back-to-back picks. I think they'll go for a forward and a D-man. Mintyukov is an interesting one. He's not all your offense, but that's mostly what I prioritize. His skating, his agility is fantastic. His aggressiveness and poise out play player for the Sabres, so really matters. Now going on to the 9th overall pick, no ending this player about but let's be honest, they're going to select Brad Lambert. It's that ability, and again, I would be shocked if it's not Lambert. Maybe Rangers are, I could see again for Detroit being in and hiring money what they want, but I think Brad Lambert is absolutely again. He's been constantly underrated throughout this year. Yes, he has some critical media. We saw exactly what Ottawa has done. He's piled on last year. Almost the point per game. I see Brad Lambert with a long game line and the level of potential that Robert ever had. That would have definitely maximized for sure. Now going on to the 10th overall pick, we have yet another trade to announce with the 10th overall pick among the Anaheim Ducks and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the trade goes as follows. The Blue Jackets will acquire the 10th overall pick from Anaheim and exchange the Ducks get a 12th overall pick, defenseman Andrew Beckett, and a 2022 third rounder, so basically a 4th rounder at that point. But this initially trade, the Ducks move down and the Blue Jackets move up. And at number 10, I think the Blue Jackets will select Joaquin Bell. Now, the Blue Jackets have gone every team to settle recently, and ultimately, they definitely selected the best year of everybody. And I feel like Joaquin Bell is this one. He's a player that's definitely different these past 2 months. The shot is fantastic. The season pace is playing. Will be a good power play player in the future. I feel like the Blue Jackets have a lot less connected, a lot less great goal scorers and system that we've got already, but they can add some more to that. And you know, it's the deal. Now going on to the 11th overall pick, and the San Jose Sharks, this is another interesting one. They've gone very top heavy with forwards over the past couple of years. And they could definitely select a defenseman with their first pick here. I can take Miller, and he's also like the defenseman of the NHL, Owen Pickering. Now, Pickering's an interesting one. 6'4", has fantastic skating with those two attributes. I think is the reason why he's going over the top 15 right now. But yet, I think with San Jose, he's a really team player. He has fantastic skating, fantastic edge work. A guy that loves to get aggressive, but also loves to carry in the defensive zone. He's got control and overall quickness. The problem is, his consistency is really quite bad. He's the most consistent player of the draft, and he does sometimes take this off. In San Jose, though, their big potential is something strong and consistent offense. Now going on to the 12th overall pick and Anaheim Ducks. I think they'll also go for a team there, dropping from 10 to 12. I think they'll put American defenseman Ryan Spencer too. I think the Anaheim could be a really interesting fit. He's not the best skater, but his physical and defensive prowess and potential is all pretty solid. I think he would become a solid and really consistent bottom pairing defense for the Ducks. Maybe a 4th defenseman is all hands down. But for Anaheim, they need a lot more defense in the picture of Ryan Spencer. Next up, going to the 13th overall pick and the New York Islanders. I think they'll go for a pretty sneaky one here and select Frank Nazar, who could go all over the place in this draft. I think he's going to the top 10, but I think 13th overall makes a lot of sense for him, and the Islanders can go a lot of sense too. I think they go best player available. I think Nazar is definitely the best player available. Sure. He's a very quick, very energetic, and very busy in the offensive zone. Loves to create, has some approach defenders, and really force that occasionally. He's the type of guy that I don't think he's going to be an elite player, and does have the shortcomings overall, but I think he will be a very energetic and very solid and consistent middle forward and defensive as well. Now going on the 14th overall pick, and the Winnipeg Jets. I'm not sure if them for this spot. Again, they've kind of gone forward as a prospect pool, but I think they will push defenseman. I think they will go for Kevin Korchinski. Now, for some players on the double show this year, but he can't be the last man at times. I'm not really the biggest fan of him, and especially consistency, but in order to protect there's going to be something there. Now going on the 15th overall pick in the Vancouver Canucks, I think we'll go for Austrian center Marco Kasper, who I'm not sure if he should be like this high, but I can see where they're coming from. The quickness, the conditioning, the strength, and the potential there is all pretty good. But I do think that that's the position so coming to make this position all for them. But at the same time, Vancouver, I still need to make a lot of sense with the system and what they're trying to go for. And now going on to their last pick, the Philadelphia Flyers again trade out from 17th overall and grab the Sabres originally. goal, and at this spot, I think they'll end up selecting the Maverick Leonard, and it's not exactly my favorite pick for the Flyers, and that's kind of why I think don't do it, because I don't know what that management is doing. He's definitely one of the more overrated players in the draft. He's 6'7", but the guy cannot skate. He can really not do too much in the offensive zone, even though he's got some points in the zone this year. I don't see much long-term potential, and if he doesn't play any NHL games, I would not be surprised. But it is Philadelphia, and I'm sorry, Flyers fans. But that'll be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed Mock Draft, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Comment down below what you guys agree, and this through my top 16, and who you guys see your team.
And he is physical in his chest. Who would have thought a normal type would perform so well against a ghosty?
My girlfriend is a backseat gamer because she thinks it's easier to knit, while I tell everyone that it is to die over and over playing Bugsnax herself. However, being my backseat gamer while I kill everyone in Dark Souls doesn't really solve the dying problem. I will stab, shot, poison, electrocuted, and burn. Turning 100 you dives into one victory achieved is kind of the point, so I understand why Shelby hasn't really enjoyed watching me roll my way through the Soulborn series any more than she would enjoy watching me roll my ankle 50 times before I land a single heel flip and say, "There, I beat the skateboard, where'd you go?" That's why after 3 girlfriend reviews making fun of me and Miyazaki, I could not believe what my girlfriend said when From Software sent us a review copy of Elden Ring. Miyazaki, Shelby walks in holding that review copy as if Elden Ring wasn't the most anticipated game of my life. And she said to me, all tears, she says, "Can I play?" She did it! She wanted to redeem the code and play Elden Ring without me while I finished editing the Horizon video. No, Miyazaki, I look my woman in the eye socket. I hold it straight out.
I just said it, man. I said.
I'm just kidding. Can I play are the 3 best words a girl are the 2nd best 3 words a girl can say. And in this case, were all the proof I needed that Elden Ring has reached unprecedented levels of hype. When Shelby asked if she could redeem our review code and begin her path as a Souls player, I actually responded like this.
You know, once you start, there's no going back.
I know.
This means total. Once you begin the path, there is no leaving the path. Are you sure you're ready for that? Are you really ready?
I guess so.
What's up, Mom?
So, this isn't a girlfriend review of what it's like to live with someone who plays Elden Ring.
That'll be our next video.
This is a boyfriend review of what it's like to live with someone who finally decided to praise the sound.
Hi, excuse me. This video is sponsored by Soundcore, and I will tell you all about their brand new limited free code earbuds after Matt is done with this video.
Like millions of other filthy casuals, my girlfriend gave Elden Ring the honor of being the first From Software game to put her foolish ambitions to rest. This is the one. Oh no!
What a sense up!
Luckily, the debut open world design found in the lands between make it a place of nearly infinite opportunities for scrubs to get good. As opposed to From's previous titles, in which the relatively linear design with pursuing scrubs to a dead-end street for a mandatory cost makes them feel less like they just spent $60 on Bloodborne and more like they were just mugged by Bloodborne. Elden Ring embraces the new community and company by offering you dozens of hours of quality content with zero pressure to overcome any obstacles they aren't ready for.
Absolutely not. No way.
But allowing beginners to progress at their own pace is not the only way From Software seems to have quietly settled the big debate over adding difficulty settings. Make no mistake, Elden Ring does have difficulty settings. You just won't find them in the game options. Instead, you'll find them in the gameplay options, i.e. the impressive amount of optional play styles for little babies to exploit. Oh, yourself, man. Think you're better than me. I am better than you, but I'm not here to keep. What I've learned, watching my girlfriend fall in love with felling enemies in Elden Ring while using methods a veteran player might call easy mode, is that accessibility matters. And using spirit ashes, summoning NPCs, or procrastinating bosses to overlevel your field do not compromise from Software's signature challenge, because stubborn masochists like myself also have a difficulty option to look at those things and say, no, I don't want to do any of that. The hard truth about what hard truly means is that when I debugged it on my first try using a Resident Evil 4 chainsaw, when Shelby debugged it on her 101st try using a souped-up jellyfish, it made her feel like this.
I know this story you.
But it made me feel like this. It's from...
Margaret, eat my ass!
So, with over 200 flavor notes, empty sippers would have been reserved for those Should your less experienced significant other play Elden Ring? Yes, definitely. But it's my turn to roast Shelby for once, so let me tell you how I really feel. First of all, she got to play it every day for 4 days before it even released, while I had to edit a Beverly Hillbillies parody about Aloy in the other room.
I love it. Fun.
Of course, when she came to me in tears of joy, announcing that she'd beaten her first quote-unquote Dark Souls boss, the loving boyfriend in me said, unfortunately, the toxic gamer in me just couldn't help himself and followed that up with, now sweetie, was it a boss with a cutscene though? Then Lacey said, no, I regretfully made this face.
Why does that matter? What does that mean? Katie, I think I'm ready for someone.
No, I wasn't teaching what a real boss is. Yeah, I was teaching what a real boss is. Dark Souls are hella good. Shelby hadn't even beat a boss with a cutscene before he started telling me how to play.
That's not really smart. You don't even know.
Honestly, when the moment finally arrived to play Elden Ring myself, she sat there telling me about the companions of Are you serious? I didn't know there was a button back here. Talking about phone. Are you serious?
I'm sorry.
Boy, I wish I knew that when I caught the news.
I'm so sorry.
In my underwear. Something about
Honestly, you probably can't leave the tree sentinel right now.
what's in my say? I don't want to hear. Alright, and then the tree sentinel took me for about an hour. So I decided to show my woman how a real gamer guy just needs to farm a bunch of souls, do a chase. Upgrade a couple weapons at the smithing table, and go right back to that tree sentinel like our powers have doubled since the last time we met. Then all a real gamer guy needs to do is say, hi-yo! And admit their girlfriend was right about the tree sentinel. In my defense, she treats everything like the tree sentinel. You already know it's all it takes for her to call in the cavalry for backup. They will break us to roasted. In conclusion, Elden Ring is easily one of my favorite games of all time, for the same obvious reasons everyone else has. But more importantly, it's due largely in part to the efforts of From Software to make this masterpiece more inclusive to indie gamers who are back. Because going on Twitter and saying, this game is dedicated for you, and that's okay, is really making this behavior. Instead, you'll make me struggling with Elden Ring, try visiting her game world, looking at her deep in her hot pink mustache with these words of advice. Try feeling more hope.
Alright guys, I'm back. It's time for me to tell you all about Soundcore. I have genuinely loved every product I've received from Soundcore, and the Liberty 3 Pro earbuds were no exception. In fact, these little guys are capable of amazing sound and customization.